Welcome back to day 2 of our explainer series. So today, we're diving into a massive shift in how we actually work alongside artificial intelligence. If you've been using AI lately, you might have caught yourself treating it like this all-knowing, flawless machine. Well, today, we are completely reframing that relationship. We're looking at the absolutely crucial difference between treating AI as an infallible oracle versus working with it as a really helpful but definitely fallible Copilot. It's a mental shift that will literally change how you handle risk, oversight, and accountability every single day.
Here is the flight plan for today's explainer. We'll cover 1. The dangerous oracle myth. 2. Meet your new Copilot. 3. Why AI makes mistakes. 4. The human in the loop. And finally, 5. Accountability and final judgment.
Okay, let's dive into this with Section 1, the dangerous oracle myth.
So, we're basically dealing with 2 totally different ways of looking at AI. On one hand, you have the oracle. This is when we view AI as a magical, infallible black box that just hands down the absolute truth. You ask a question, and you blindly trust whatever answer it spits out. Honestly, this is highly dangerous. The right framework, the safer framework, is the Copilot. This treats AI as an active, really capable, but completely fallible team member. It's a tool that helps you navigate, but it absolutely needs strict human oversight. If you build your workflows around an oracle, you're flying blind. Build them around a Copilot, and you actually keep your hands on the controls.
To put that into perspective, just look at this number, 95%. When an AI model boasts a 95% accuracy score, a lot of non-technical managers see that and assume it's just universally dependable. They treat it exactly like an oracle, but what they totally miss is the remaining 5%. Those are the high-consequence edge cases where the system might just fail completely. Ignoring those edge cases, that is a direct path to some incredibly costly operational mistakes.
Moving right along to Section 2, Meet Your New Copilot.
Let's talk about what this Copilot actually is in practice. We're talking specifically about something called an AI agent. Now, an AI agent isn't just some passive chatbot waiting around for you to type a prompt. It is a computer program designed to sense its environment, think about its options, and, this is the real game changer here, take actions to achieve a goal all on its own. If your standard AI is basically a really smart search engine, an AI agent is more like a digital assistant that actually goes off and gets the work done for you.
The best way to wrap your head around how an agent operates is this 3-step loop: sense, think, act. It's kind of like a robotic vacuum cleaner mapping out your living room. First, it uses its sensors to detect a wall. That's the sense phase. Then, it calculates the absolute best path around that wall. That's the think phase. And finally, it turns its wheels to actually move, the act phase. A digital AI agent does the exact same thing, but instead of bumping into physical walls, it navigates through data, schedules, and software, acting a lot like a human project manager who's breaking down a huge goal into actionable little steps.
Now, to pull off that whole sense, think, act loop, an agent relies on 2 core pieces, the brain and the body. The brain is the underlying AI language model. That's the part handling all the reasoning, the planning, and figuring out intent. But here's the thing, a brain by itself can only generate text. To actually interact with our digital world, it needs a body. And the body is made up of external tools, things like web search, email APIs, or databases. It's really only when you wire up the reasoning of the brain to the capabilities of the body that you get a true, fully functioning Copilot.
Now, what's really interesting about this next slide is how things go wrong. Section 3, Why AI Makes Mistakes.
To understand why our fancy new Copilot messes up, we have to talk about a process called inference. Inference is the live stage where an AI is actually generating its output. But here is the absolute most important takeaway. The AI is not going back and fact-checking against some verified central database. Nope. Instead, it is predicting the most likely next token. Basically just the next piece of a word, step by step, based entirely on patterns it memorized during training. Because it's designed to generate a plausible-sounding continuation rather than a guaranteed hard fact, it can easily write these beautifully fluent, incredibly confident sentences that are just completely factually wrong.
And because of how that inference process works, agents are prone to a few very specific errors. They might grab outdated information, totally misunderstand what you originally asked them to do, or the external tools they use might just fail. But honestly, the most dangerous mistake on this list is number 4, overconfidence. You know the type, right? That one coworker who is completely wrong but absolutely 100% certain they're right. An overconfident AI agent is exactly like that. It might just barrel ahead making a whole cascade of errors at lightning speed without ever pausing to say, hey, wait, I need some help.
Which naturally brings us to the solution. Section 4, The Human in the Loop.
I absolutely love this quote from our sources because it really just hits the nail on the head for our mental model. It describes the AI as a digital assistant offering checklist checks, while the human captain holds ultimate control. It's just like a commercial aircraft, right? The autopilot and the digital systems handle the routine logistics, the background checks, suggesting the flight path, but the human pilot is always at the controls. The human retains the actual authority and has the final say. Always.
So, let's break down that division of labor. The AI's job, that's all about speed, consistency, and knocking out those routine, high-volume tasks. It does the heavy data lifting. And that frees up the human's job. We need to reserve our human experts for the stuff that matters: nuance, context, ethical judgment, and dealing with those tricky 5% edge cases we talked about earlier. Simply put, the co-pilot does the grind, the captain makes the judgment calls.
But listen, we have to be super careful here. Human in the loop is a buzzword that gets thrown around a lot right now, sometimes just as a get-out-of-jail-free card. Real oversight, actual, meaningful oversight, requires three specific things. The human must have enough contextual info to understand why the AI made a choice. They need enough time to actually review it, and they must have the genuine authority to override the system. If you have a person reviewing hundreds of automated decisions a day, giving them 3 seconds each, that's not oversight. That is just compliance theater.
And that leads us to our final stop today, Section 5, Accountability and Final Judgment.
So, let's consider a pretty provocative question. Imagine an AI agent is being used to filter job applicants, or maybe approve mortgages. If a perfectly qualified applicant gets wrongly rejected by this automated system, who takes the blame? Who is accountable? The applicant is usually left with no explanation, no reasoning, and literally no real person to speak to. The decisions these agents make have profound, quiet, but very real consequences on people's lives.
So the crucial point is this: you cannot outsource accountability to code. The human organization deploying the AI holds the final responsibility, not the algorithm, not the tech vendor who sold it to you. If your company deploys an AI agent that makes a discriminatory decision, your company is responsible, period. You can't blame the oracle when you were the one who put it in the co-pilot's seat.
And a huge reason why human accountability is absolutely non-negotiable is the mechanical reality of bias. Look, AI bias usually isn't intentional. It sneaks in through the data. An AI learns from historical data, and well, historical data inevitably reflects past human inequalities. When the AI uses that data to predict the future, it mathematically scales and reinforces those exact same historical patterns. If historical hiring data skews a certain way, the AI will literally do the math and learn to rank new candidates based on that same skew. This is exactly why human judgment has to be the final filter. Which leaves us with this final thought for today's explainer. I want you to look closely at your own workflows, your projects, your organization. Are you letting a black box oracle fly the plane, just blindly trusting whatever it spits out? Or are you stepping up as the captain, using AI as a super powerful co-pilot while keeping strict oversight, context, and ultimate accountability? Honestly, it's a choice every single one of us has to make. Thank you so much for joining me for day 2 of this explainer series, and I really hope this helps you take firm control of your AI systems. Catch you next time.